Lewis Hamilton was more than half a second behind Charles Leclerc in first practice. Then Ferrari's secret rear wing evolution changed the entire picture. Hamilton opened second practice with immediate speed on the medium tire before Leclerc seized first place with a 1-minute 18.877. Just 2 minutes later, Hamilton struck back with a 1-minute 18.729, beating his teammate by 148 thousandths and sealing Ferrari's second 1-2 of the day. But this was not one lucky lap. Ferrari's pace was strong from the beginning, and the third Macarena wing evolution, designed specifically for Hungary's extreme downforce demands, may have finally given Hamilton the rear stability and confidence he had been missing. If that advantage survives qualifying, Ferrari has not merely unlocked a monster lap. It may have unlocked a championship weapon. Subscribe to the channel. The first practice session made one thing painfully clear. Charles Leclerc understood the Ferrari immediately. Lewis Hamilton did not. Leclerc set a 1-minute 19.075. He was fastest in every sector. Hamilton finished third with a 1-minute 19.618. The gap was 543 thousandths, more than half a second. Max Verstappen had even placed a Red Bull between the two Ferraris. That did not mean Hamilton was slow. It meant Leclerc had found something Hamilton had not. And inside a Formula One garage, that difference becomes impossible to ignore. The same car, the same circuit, the same conditions. One driver extracts the lap. The other driver studies the gap. That is where the real pressure begins. Not when the cameras arrive. Not when the headlines appear. When the driver looks at the data and sees that the car has already done something in the hands of his teammate that has not done for him. The source does not provide full braking traces. It does not provide throttle overlays. It does not provide steering angle comparisons or exact corner-by-corner losses. So it would be wrong to invent one specific place where Hamilton was losing time. But Ferrari would have had every detail. And Hamilton would have seen exactly where Leclerc was more confident. Maybe the front was responding earlier. Maybe the rear was staying calmer. Maybe the tire preparation was cleaner. Maybe the car was rotating more naturally through the middle of the corner. The source does not confirm which one. What it does confirm is that the gap was real, and Hamilton needed an answer. Hungary is one of the worst circuits in the world to feel uncertain inside a Formula One car. The lap is tightly connected. One corner leads directly into the next. There's almost no time to reset. A weak entry damages the middle. A poor middle damages the exit. A slow exit changes the approach to the next corner. One hesitation keeps traveling. That is why confidence matters so much at the Hungaroring. The driver must know what the rear will do under braking. He must know when the front will respond. He must know whether the car will remain stable as the load builds. If he doubts any of those things, he begins waiting. He brakes earlier. He turns more cautiously. He delays the throttle. Each loss is small. Together, they become half a second. That was the challenge waiting for Hamilton after first practice. He did not simply need to push harder. He needed the car to become predictable. And that is where Ferrari's new rear wing direction may have changed the entire weekend. The third Macarena evolution had been designed specifically for Hungary's high downforce demands. It featured an additional hanger flap above the movable section of the rear wing. The visible part was small. The possible effect was much larger. A rear wing does not only create downforce, it shapes how the back of the car behaves. It influences stability under braking. It affects how confidently the car rotates. It changes how the rear tires accept power on corner exit. And at Hungary, every one of those areas matters. Think about what happens when a driver approaches a slow corner. He brakes hard. The weight moves forward. The rear becomes lighter. Then he begins turning. The car must rotate without becoming nervous. Then he opens the throttle. The rear tires must accept the load. If the aerodynamic support disappears through any part of that sequence, the driver loses confidence. He begins protecting the car. And protection costs lap time. The purpose of a high downforce package is not only to create more grip, it is to make that grip usable. That distinction is critical. A car can produce a huge amount of theoretical downforce and still be difficult to drive. The numbers may look impressive in simulation. The driver may still feel instability on track. The best packages create a wider operating window. They allow the car to remain predictable as the ride height changes, as the speed changes, as the driver turns, as the tires deform. That may be what Ferrari unlocked with the Macarena evolution. Not one magical burst of speed, a more stable platform, and Hamilton's second practice began with the first evidence. He opened the session with a 1 minute, 19.648 on the medium tire. At that point, he was already 455 thousandths ahead of Leclerc's opening effort in the same session. Nearly half a second. That detail matters because the soft tire had not yet created the final performance jump. Hamilton was already fast, already confident, already building the session from a stronger foundation. The medium tire normally offers less immediate grip than the soft. It asks more from the driver. The car has to communicate clearly. The driver has to understand how the grip will arrive. He has to trust the rear before committing fully. Hamilton's early pace suggested that trust was beginning to appear. The Ferrari was no longer asking him to guess. It was beginning to answer. That changes everything. When a driver does not trust the car, every corner becomes a negotiation. He brakes, waits, turns, waits again, opens the throttle, corrects the rear. The lap feels fragmented. When the car becomes predictable, the movements connect. Brake, rotate, accelerate. One flow. That is how a driver finds time, without looking visibly dramatic. The steering becomes calmer. The braking phase becomes cleaner. The throttle opens sooner. The car looks almost easier to drive. But the stopwatch moves. Hamilton's medium tire lap suggested that kind of transformation. Then Leclerc raised the pressure. At 6:43 in the evening, local time, he switched to the soft tire and set a 1 minute, 18.877. First place. The morning leader was back on top. For a moment, the order looked familiar again. Leclerc ahead, Hamilton chasing, and that is where the real test began. A driver can feel comfortable when no one has moved the target. The pressure changes when the teammate produces the benchmark. Now the time is visible. Now the comparison is direct. Now the driver knows exactly what must be beaten. Hamilton had 2 minutes. Then he crossed the line. 1 minute, 18.729. 148 thousandths faster. First place reclaimed. That response matters more than the final margin. 148 thousandths is tiny. One cleaner braking zone could reverse it. One mistake could erase it. But the speed of the response revealed control. Hamilton did not need several runs. He did not need the session to come back to him. He saw the benchmark. He understood the demand. He delivered. That is what a driver does when the car finally makes sense. And this is where the Macarena wing becomes more than a strange visual detail. The source does not confirm an exact lap time gain from the wing alone. It does not prove that the additional hanger flap created every thousandth. A Formula One car is a system. The floor matters. The suspension matters. The front wing matters. The tires matter. Fuel load matters. Track evolution matters. The driver matters. But the timing of the upgrade and the way Hamilton's performance developed create a strong connection. Ferrari brought a high downforce rear wing evolution. The Hungaroring demanded high downforce. Leclerc led first practice. Hamilton led second practice. Ferrari finished first and second in both sessions. And the afternoon pace was described as sustained from early in the session. That is the key. Sustained. Not one isolated peak. Not one lucky lap. The speed appeared before the soft tire. It survived Leclerc's response. Then Hamilton finished the session on top. That is a much stronger sign than one dramatic time at the end. A narrow setup window can produce one perfect lap. A strong aerodynamic platform can produce confidence across the whole session. That may be what Hamilton found. And if the Macarena evolution helped stabilize the rear of the SF26, the benefit would have been enormous for his driving style. Hamilton has always needed confidence under braking. He wants to carry speed into the corner. He wants the rear to remain calm while the car rotates. He wants to return to the throttle without waiting for the back of the car to settle. A stable rear gives him freedom. Freedom to brake later. Freedom to release the brake more aggressively. Freedom to rotate the car with fewer corrections. Freedom to use the soft tire instead of fighting it. That is how one aerodynamic improvement can unlock a driver. Not by creating speed without him. By giving him the conditions required to use everything he already has. And Hamilton's transformation between first and second practice was dramatic. He began more than half a second behind Leclerc. He finished 148 thousandths ahead. That is a swing of almost 7 tenths relative to his teammate. Again, not every part of that swing can be credited to the wing. The track improved. The tire changed. The session conditions evolved. Those variables matter. But both Ferrari drivers experienced the same broader changes. And Hamilton still found far more time. That is why the progression is so important. Leclerc began close to the car's potential. Hamilton began farther away. Then Hamilton discovered a way to access it. That is the real breakthrough. Not that he suddenly became a different driver. That the car finally gave him a platform he could understand. And understanding creates repeatability. A driver who produces one lucky lap cannot always do it again. A driver who understands why the car is fast can rebuild the performance. He can adjust when the track changes. He can respond when the teammate improves. He can work with the engineers. He can refine the setup. That is what Ferrari needs from Hamilton if it wants more than one strong weekend. Because Hungary was not only about Friday. Hamilton entered the weekend second in the Drivers' Championship. He was 45 points behind Kimi Antonelli. That is a serious gap. A fast practice lap does not reduce it. Only results do. Qualifying position, race execution, reliability, strategy. Hamilton's second practice performance created an opportunity. Ferrari still had to convert it. And Fred Vasseur had already warned that execution would make the difference. On paper, the Hungaroring could suit the car. But theory was not enough. The team needed clean laps, correct tire preparation, reliable machinery, strong decisions, and controlled competition between Hamilton and Leclerc. That final part was becoming more complicated. Leclerc had led first practice. Hamilton led second practice. Only 148 thousandths separated them. That is not a clear hierarchy. It is an internal battle balanced on one corner. One cleaner lap could reverse the order. One lockup could decide qualifying. One strategic choice could determine who controlled the race. Ferrari's new wing may have strengthened the car. It may also have intensified the rivalry. Because when both drivers trust the same machine, both begin believing they can lead. That creates pressure inside the team. It can improve performance. It can also create mistakes. A driver may attack too hard because the teammate is close. A strategy may favor one side of the garage. A qualifying preparation lap may become compromised. A championship opportunity may disappear while both drivers fight for control. Vasseur now had the kind of problem every team principal wants. Two fast cars, two confident drivers, one narrow margin. But the biggest question remained unanswered. Was the Macarena evolution only a Hungary weapon? The wing was designed for a circuit demanding extreme aerodynamic load. At another track, the drag penalty may become more expensive.